Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran emphasized justice. And so much so that we could say that the totality of our tradition hinges on justice and mercy. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded us to establish the scales of justice. And almost every Friday we say, إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تتقون. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always emphasizing for us a command to justice. Simultaneously, Allah also calls on us in a hadith Qudsi to abstain from engaging in dhulm. Right? So much so that the hadith Qudsi, Allah prohibited on himself dhulm. إن الله حرم على نفسه الظلم. Right? Even though that Allah has nothing to limit his power, he actually limited his own power by his own will to limit dhulm, to limit transgression. The Prophet ﷺ warned us about the dua of the madlum. Right? That be warned of the dua, the supplication of the madlum, because there is no hijab between it and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So today we cannot really talk about anything other than what is taking place in Gaza. Not because Gaza and Palestine is it's not the largest or the most drastic place where destruction have been visited. Again, Islamic history is full with moments of calamity. Right? If you just even thinking about the Crusades, the Crusaders coming to Jerusalem, in 3 days, their own chronicles said they have wiped out 70,000 in Jerusalem. Their own chronicles, not the Muslim chronicles, their own, said that they massacred people in such a way that blood was running to the ankles. If we think about the Mongol invasion in Baghdad, completely ransacking Baghdad, the numbers differ. Some put it in the hundreds of thousands, some actually put it closer to 150,000 in relations to the Mongol. And even in the most recent period, right? We think about our Afghan brothers and sisters. Every weapon that has been developed over the past 40 years have been tested on Afghanistan, from the Russians and from the Americans and NATO. And if we think about Iraq, 1.5 million Iraqis perished. Somalia, Libya, you speak about Yemen, 300,000. Myanmar, the Uyghur in China. So by no means numbers is not the story. So if you're looking at the numbers, even though that we're looking at what is taking place in Gaza today with numbers, it is actually, it's exposed the reality of the world in front of our eyes. You know, there are these moments in history where it just becomes clear what is occurring at a global level. And it's the first moment we're actually witnessing a genocide unfolds in front of our own eyes, and we are constantly all being involved in looking and seeing it, because we have all the modes of communication, social media, Instagram, TikTok, and so on. So it's the first moment in history where we are all as a global society witnessing a genocide unfolds in real time, instantaneous. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose whatever wisdom to make this the reality, to expose the world, including, again, for those who know me, I don't hold back on anything relative to the West, to the United States, to Europe. Haddith wala haraj. But today I want to speak about the OIC. I don't know if you know, OIC is called Organization of Islamic Cooperation. I don't use that. I say Organization of Islamic and Cooperation. Right? The 57 countries met. They should not have met, because every time they meet, it's just like, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. What can we say? And I'm not speaking about the people, because the people in the Muslim world, across the world, are all aligned with justice. Really, if you think about it, millions of people are on, but as far as governments are concerned, it's a calamity. And what we are dealing today, it became clear that colonization continues in the post-colonial period. The ruling elites are post-colonial elites. They do tawaf not on the Kaaba, but on the White House, London, and France. What takes place in Paris is far more important what takes place in Mecca in relations to understanding and where we take the direction from. Not everybody that reads the Quran and recites hadith or reads hadith understand what they're saying and what they're reciting. All right? It is not only the United States and Europe that are supporting Israel. The only border that is making Israel secure relative to Gaza and punishing Gaza is the Egyptian border. The Egyptian government, not the people, the Egyptian government, because it's actually part of post-colonial structures. They have, beginning in 2014, much earlier, they dug a 30 feet subterranean steel wall in order to prevent anything coming in and out from Gaza. So that is the reality. For a moment, we all got, people were sending on Instagram that the Jordanian military is mobilizing its troops. I said, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. It is not actually to do anything, it's actually to protect so anybody from Jordan can engage in any type of support for the Palestinians. So the militaries in post-colonial states are directed at its own population. And all the contracts for military supplies have the regulations of what can and can't be used. Like people celebrate, oh, they got a new plane. Well, it's a dumb plane. Because all of the planes that are sold to these countries is basically showpieces. You show it for Eid al-Istiqlal, even though it's haram to celebrate any Eid of the Prophet or anybody, but Eid al-Istiqlal, go on, have celebration. These planes cannot refuel in the air. These planes have limited radar capacity. Literally, it's much better to go to Walmart, right, and Best Buy and buy one of these, what you call planes, to play with your kids than what you have. But they're very effective against the domestic population because you don't need a radar to hit a civilian area in your own countries. So Organization of Islamic Uncooperation. 57 countries met. They could not send a bottle of water to Gaza. All right? They could not send anything except until Israel allowed them to send as part of the deal. Completely impotent post-colonial states. The second part is that you have, for a period of time where all are so tuned to religious leadership in the Muslim world, especially those who have official positions. All right? And what do they say about Gaza? Oh, don't get involved in fitnah. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Don't talk about because it's going to cause fitnah. You mean a 2,000-pound bomb being thrown on the Palestinians in Gaza, and you have the time and the audacity to stand in Mecca and talk about fitnah? So we need to actually begin to understand that not every Islamic articulation of eloquence have meaning that is centered on justice. And it's interesting, all these people that have filled YouTubes and so on with hours and hours of fine points of discourse of the fi'al and fa'al, whether the dhamma or kasra, but literally when it comes to Gaza, they're all maksur. They have nothing to offer other than you have to stay and not to speak because it's fitnah. The fitnah is literally your silence is fitnah. All right? The silence is fitnah. Opposite, people are literally saying to commit genocide, turn Gaza into a parking lot. Talking about bomb without actually limiting anything. People today, somebody saying that these are not even animals, they're even sub-animals. That's what they're referring to the people in Gaza. Right? Earlier today, I got up in the morning and, mashallah, this so-called Secretary Blinken was celebrating and recognizing the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I thought it was a Comedy Central piece. Right? He is having a group of people and talking about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Holding back food from Gaza, I guess, does not violate Universal Declaration of Rights. Medicine does not violate fuel Bombing hospitals does not. So what is left of this Universal Declaration of Human Rights other than selling us what you call these niceties? What we are witnessing today is the so-called collapse of this mask of post-World War II political order in the world. Because some of these major elements, the Geneva Convention, the Genocide Convention, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, all these are post-World War II. And many of us were meeting and hoping and thinking that, look, we belong to this. We don't. People in the Global South, we don't belong. The primary violators of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, for Geneva Convention, Genocide Convention, as the 5 permanent powers in the United Nations. And Muslims, since 1979 till now, close to 12 million Muslims have been killed. And they often come and talk to you about violence. And then you have universities that have a human rights center, have not issued a statement. And I said in Sacramento just a couple of weeks, if 7,000 dogs died, you will have protests and have everybody going out to say we need to stop the massacre of 7,000 dogs. 7,000 children, and nobody's saying a word. Not only that, they're sending $14.5 billion more of bombs as we speak from our tax money. And they want us to be the nice, huggable Muslim. No, I'm not huggable. I don't want to be nice. If you're killing children, I'm not going to be nice. If you're buying apartment buildings, I'm not going to be nice. If you're attacking hospitals, right? From 39 hospitals, all of them or most of them have been completely put out of commission in Gaza. And you're talking to me, we need to have Muslims, and then say, oh, we need to deal with Islamophobia. Islamophobia, I know Islamophobia more than what you call while I'm sleeping. A president stands up in there and says 40 kids have been decapitated, complete lie. That's Islamophobia. He repeats it back in San Francisco, another lie. So we have, as Muslims today, we have to actually put our red line. Again, our red lines again. If you don't respect us in here and across the world, we're not interested for you to actually come and to make a fool of us. The fact that our leaders over there in the Muslim world, not our leader, but the Muslim world leaders, can act as a fools, again, there's an open season because these are post-colonial entities. They don't know respect or where they're standing from where they are, but don't come in here to us today, play the same game. But we need to actually make sure that we know exactly what we're talking about, and this notion is actually exposing all these hypocrisies and contradictions. That's what it is. Today, Palestine is actually opening the world in such a way that the contradictions are wide open. And it's renewed people's critique of the world that they are part of. Again, France, they had a whole protest relative to the yellow jackets for a number of times. They completely went dormant. Now they're mobilizing in ways, critiquing their own government, as well as critiquing their continued support for Israel. You see the people in here today, the Muslims and others, are actually working and organizing in the ways that you would not see. Before this period, everybody was what you call so fine on adab. Oh, don't go to the city council and disrupt or do anything, because that's not what Islam is. Right? So we begin to roll our own, not wanting to be seen as not polite, because we have often the Khawaja mentality, right? Meaning that we just, if a white person comes to us, and this is not a critique of people with lighter skin, but it's a mindset. Like if a white person, we just act like so nice because we think they are the superior. Today, people are going and just no longer recognizing this barrier because the fear barrier has collapsed. Why? Because every time that a bomb has collapsed a building, it collapsed the fear in our own mind. That's what is taking place. Because as soon as people are recognizing, literally, I compared it in an article, that this is an iconoclastic moment for Israel. Every time they're collapsing a building, it collapses the fear that is in people's mind. It collapses the understanding that we're dealing with a superior world that no longer can hide behind what you call this empty discourse. And that cannot be reconstituted in a similar way that the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he took his his hammer to the statues, this is the moment that we're seeing people in their own mind have taken out the fear that was constituted in their mind, whether for Israel or the West in its generality. There is no longer anything that anyone can say that can reconstitute the fear or the notion that they have any superiority. It's just completely exposed from top to bottom. And that's why we are in a transformative moment that we need to understand and partake in such a way that it will transform our condition in here and hopefully also across the world. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعين به ونستغفره ونتوب إليه وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Imran says, وَلَا تَهِنُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا وَأَنْتُمُ الْأَعْلَوْنَ إِن كُنْتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. That don't have a letdown and don't feel sad. Again, we are sad for sure because we're witnessing occurrences that we have not witnessed in real life before. But Allah is counseling us, لَا تَهِنُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا. Don't feel, have a letdown and don't feel sad. وَأَنْتُمُ الْأَعْلَوْنَ, and that you are in a higher state, إِن كُنْتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ, if you have really true faith. So the test for us is to have faith. إِن يَمْسَسْكُمْ قَرْحٌ, if a calamity has befallen you, إِن يَمْسَسْكُمْ قَرْحٌ فَقَدْ مَسَّ الْقَوْمَ قَرْحٌ مِثْلُهُ, that a calamity has befallen the other people. وَتِلْكَ الْأَيَّامُ نُدَاوِلُهَا بَيْنَ النَّاسِ. These are the days that we actually transfer or turn around between people. Power never stays with anyone. Your principles, your adherence to justice, your consideration of where you are as a human being, these are everlasting. So whenever you are actually acting and working on justice, know this for a fact, that you are actually aligning with the divine. Allah is Al-Adl. Not United Arab Emirates, not Saudi Arabia, not any of these countries. You are, when you're standing for justice, you are standing with Allah, Al-Adl. Because dhulm has no reality. It's only the absence of adl and the absence of that alignment that makes it possible for, again, individuals that commit injustice to continue in the way that they are. So don't feel that you are alone. Allah is with you. Right? هُوَ مَعْكُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ. He is with you wherever you are. So when you are going out for justice, that's what you have with you. You are in alignment with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but don't make the mistake thinking that you're speaking for Allah, because many people all of a sudden begin to articulate and think that they're speaking for Allah. No, you're speaking your understanding, but you're aligning yourself with Allah relative to your understanding, which you might be sometimes in error. So we just want to make sure as we understand what that alignment takes place. So what I want to is to continue to actually engage, continue to go out. Don't tell people not to be silent. It is for you to go out and continue to organize. For us, we have a number of things that you need to continue to do. One, continue reading the Quran, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us is a shifa, both in calamity and in good times. We need to continuously visit the Quran, do dua, right? Ad-du'a silah al-mu'min. So continue to do dua, especially early in the morning, late at night, and send your dua to the people who are oppressed, not only in Palestine, but also in other places. Make sure to join with others that are doing work. So I encourage you to participate and join with different groups. One individual can't, what you call, make transformation alone. Even the Prophet ﷺ, as a messenger from Allah, he had to get the Sahaba with him and developed a group. So yadullahi ma'al jama'ah. So you need to join and be part of a group. Fourth, you need to have goals, very specific goals. I know that there is many resolutions here locally in the Santa Clara City Council, the school board in here locally as well. So engage in that way with the goals. But lastly, also make sure to support and extend support to the groups that are doing all kinds of work here as well as nationally. The last thing, tomorrow night, we're having an event for Muslim Legal Fund of America. I'm the chairman of MLFA, Muslim Legal Fund of America. So it's unveiling injustice. In 9/11, we did not have a legal arm. So now we have a legal arm, and MLFA has a number of lawyers that have been taking all kinds of cases pertaining to the restrictions, whether it's on student or organization. So MLFA is your legal arm. to protect our constitutional and civil rights, and we work cooperatively with CARE, National Lawyers Guild, Center for Constitutional Rights. And tomorrow, if you could come and join, the dinner is going to be in Khadija Hall. I will give a briefing about the situation of Palestine, college campuses, and different areas, and what are the legal responses that we need to undertake in the days ahead, because there are some things that are going to be please facing us as we move forward. So inshallah, we'll see you tomorrow evening. Dinner will be served inshallah. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم إني داع فأمنوا. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا بالخير شر ما قضيت فإنك تقضي بالخير ولا يقضى عليك وإنه لا يذل من واليت تباركت ربنا وتعاليت. ربنا ردنا الإسلام ردا جميلا. ربنا ردنا إلى الإسلام ردا جميلا. ربنا ردنا إلى الإسلام ردا جميلا. اللهم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على طاعتك. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه يا رب العالمين. اللهم ارحم المسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات يا رب العالمين. اللهم ارحم المسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات يا رب العالمين. اللهم اشف مرضى المسلمين جميعا يا رب العالمين. اللهم خفف عنهم يا رب العالمين. اللهم خفف عنهم يا رب العالمين. اللهم انصر إخواننا المسلمين في كل مكان. اللهم خفف عن إخواننا المسلمين في غزة يا رب العالمين. اللهم خفف عنهم يا رب العالمين. اللهم خفف عنهم يا رب العالمين. اللهم إنا مغلوبون فانصرنا. اللهم إنا مغلوبون فانصرنا. اللهم إنا مغلوبون فانصرنا. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. وأقم الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون.